say some days you're gonna win. They say some days you're gonna lose. I tell you, I got news for you. You're losing all the time, you never win. No. If you believe that's how it's gonna be, I better put you down. Get up, you take your look and come down on the ground. You gotta save me now. You better turn around. And I looked around. I was heading down on somebody throw me down the line. This is some days you gotta give. This is some days you gotta take. That's the way it's gotta be. Roll it over and you will see. The city streets are full of people going nowhere making time. The change from night to day is really only out just along the line. Can't you see the sign? When I looked around.
Good morning. Wednesday, Thursday for all of us because 4th of July falls on a Friday, unless you have to work, and then my apologies to you. We got a good show for all of you today. Sydney Sinks joins us in a couple of minutes. Blog Talk, back in action, and then at 10:10, Centerstone, we're learning more about their outpatient counseling services today. Going to be a great conversation about that. Never know when you need that information until you need it. And then at around 10:20-ish, Lacy's going to join us. We're going to step back into a time machine 100 years ago and see what was happening in the city of Alton with that 100 years ago with Lacy segment. I hope you guys this morning's off to a great start. I know mine is, and man, life's just good. Hey, we'll take you to top of the hour news now. Here's what you need to know. Make sure you sign up for that daily email update or download the RiverBender.com app and never miss out on your daily dose of everything local, plus that partnership with the Associated Press, statewide and national news all at the touch of a button. We'll take you to St. Louis first. A 44-year-old woman from Alton has died following a single vehicle crash on Interstate 64 near Big Bend Boulevard. Here's what we know on this incident. It occurred around 12:40 a.m. on July the 1st when the woman lost control of her Honda CR-V westbound, which left the right side of the roadway and struck a guardrail. She was immediately transported to Barnes Hospital, but later pronounced deceased. Authorities confirmed that she was wearing a seatbelt at the time of the crash. The Missouri State Highway Patrol, they continue to investigate the circumstances surrounding this incident, and her identity has not yet been released. The Edwardsville Police Department did identify the victim of a fatal collision on June the 23rd as 29-year-old Matthew Marshall of Glen Carbon. The crash occurred around 7 p.m. when a 2014 Ford Focus, turning left, struck Marshall's 2015 Yamaha motorcycle traveling westbound. Marshall was pronounced deceased at the scene by the Madison County Coroner's Office. Authorities continue to investigate, awaiting a technical crash reconstruction report from the Illinois State Police. Marshall, a mechanical engineer, was passionate and a passionate athlete with a legacy of sportsmanship. A memorial service is planned for July 5th in Bradenton, Florida, where the family requests donations to the FSU scholarship programs. Also in the news today, the body of Winona Nadine Michael found in a field near Lebanon and Troy O'Fallon Road on July the 20th, 1990 has been identified nearly 35 years after her death, initially treated as a homicide. The case remained unsolved despite hundreds of hours of investigation. Renewed forensic efforts in late 2024 involving the Illinois State Crime Lab and Othram led to Michael's identification. She was 30 years old at the time of her death and left behind 2 children. Investigators have established a timeline of her life and urge anyone with information to contact the Madison County Sheriff's Office to help find the killer. A Jerseyville man, Darren Day, 44 years of age, was arrested early this morning near the Brussels Ferry in Calhoun on several charges, including possession of methamphetamine, driving while suspended, and operating an uninsured vehicle. Here's what we know. The Calhoun County Sheriff's Office stopped Day at approximately 3:06 a.m. on Illinois River Road, and after the investigation, he was taken into custody without incident. Day has since been released with a notice to appear at the Calhoun County Courthouse. Authorities have not disclosed further details surrounding the traffic stop, and all suspects, we remind everyone, are presumed innocent until proven guilty in a court of law. The Calhoun County Sheriff's Office, along with the West Central Illinois Drug Task Force, the Pike County Sheriff's Department, and Illinois Conservation Police executed a court-authorized search warrant at a Batchtown residence on Beach Landing Road. Officers seized illegal substances, drug paraphernalia, and firearm ammunition during this operation. 4 individuals were arrested and charged with possession of methamphetamine and drug paraphernalia. The suspects include Stephen Marisniak, 55 years of age, and his son, Stephen H. Marisniak, 32 years of age, as well as Terry Marisniak, 53 years of age, and Dustin Seidler, 41, all from Batchtown, except for the younger Marisniak from Bloomington. Authorities remind the public that all suspects are presumed innocent until proven guilty in trial, and will keep you updated as more details from that case do emerge. Also in the news today, some positive news for all of us. Celebrate Independence Day across the Riverbend area with a variety of displays for your family to attend from July the 3rd to the 12th. There's so many highlights, including Alton's Fireworks on the Mississippi, St. Louis's multi-day Celebrate St. Louis Festival, and Granite City's Patriots in the Park, featuring music, a 5K, and a car show. Communities like Godfrey, Highland, and Jerseyville are offering evening fireworks with food, games, and live entertainment. Brighton and Edwardsville will host day-long celebrations with 5Ks, contests, and live bands culminating in a nighttime fireworks display. Later events include the Bunker Hill Firefighters Picnic and Carlinville's Fireworks Spectacular. The community and the region encourage you to join the fun and create those lasting memories this 4th of July season. And finally in the news today, Chad Ingram, a legally blind man from Godfrey, did something incredible. He embarked on an extraordinary crochet journey aiming to break the world record for the largest granny square, and since October of last year, Ingram has dedicated about 4 hours a day to crocheting in his basement, using a camera and television to compensate for his limited vision. His finished Granny Square measures over 1,700 square feet, bigger than some houses, surpassing the previous record of a 36 by 36 feet display. Recently displayed at Glazebrook Park, the giant crochet piece attracted many community members, and it highlighted Ingram's generous spirit. Known for donating over 150 baby hats and numerous blankets, Ingram plans to apply for Guinness World Record recognition and is already planning his next project, including an American flag for the United States' 250th anniversary. That's such a cool story. I wonder if that Granny Square could have covered the sinkhole at Gordon Moore Park. Hey, one final bit of news for you today. And this is out of Father McGivney Catholic High School. They promoted Brett Schubert to head coach of the boys soccer team. Congratulations. Schubert, who has been an assistant coach since 2021, is praised for his passion for the game and strong mentorship. Athletic Director Jeff Oler highlighted his exceptional bond with players and positive influence both on and off the field. The school is confident that under the new coach's leadership, the soccer program will continue to grow and achieve success. And we'll keep you updated all fall long as we get closer and closer to the start of the 2025 fall season. And for all the kids out there, the clock's ticking. Summertime's almost coming to a close in just about a month and a couple of weeks. But who's counting? Hey, let's take a look at weather. 80 degrees in downtown Alton, and it feels like it's 95 out there. That humidity's rough today. For right now, air quality and all of the allergens are pretty much in that low to good category, so nothing really to report there. Today, partly sunny, and tonight clear, no rain in the forecast, and there will be no rain for the next 5 days. Temperatures will start to creep up. Here's what we're seeing. Temperatures reach 89 degrees today and drop down to 67 overnight as we head into Thursday. On Thursday, when we're watching the Alton fireworks, a high of 90, a low of 70. On Friday the 4th, a high of 95, a low of 74 degrees. And then on Saturday, partly sunny skies, a high of 92, a low of 73. And then on Sunday the 6th, a high of 92 and a low of 73 again. That's a look at the next 5 days. Here's what's happening now. It's 81 degrees in the heart of the 618. Feels like 95 out there for time and temperature throughout the day. 618-465-4545. This time powered by Bounce Back, Rehab, Recover, and Return Home. You can also stay up to date in real time, all the time, by downloading that RiverBender.com app today. All righty. While I have you, I got to fill you in on some friends here. And that friend, because it's such a warm day, why are you cooking? You know what I'm saying? I never understood that. Why people cook when it's 90 degrees outside. So all of a sudden, then you're just going to get frustrated. It's hot in your kitchen, even though you got the AC running, and you're like, man, what's this going to cost me? You're like Joe Exotic. I'm never going to financially recover from this. You don't have to worry about that because you got Carver's Barbecue. I mean, what are you doing? The best barbecue in town, award-winning. Right there on Groveland. Just stop in for lunch, stop in for dinner, pick up something for the whole family. And while you're at it, go ahead and bring $20 to $50 and put it in that slot machine. I'm telling you, it'll work eventually. If it hasn't worked for you yet, you slap that sucker into Heidi. Maybe you're playing, one of those dragon games, and you all of a sudden, bonus, boom, $200. Barbecue paid for. You got a little extra cash, and life's looking good, keeping Carvers happy and keeping you happy. 4th of July is coming up around the corner in just a couple of days, but there's still so many more summer activities that you could be planning. And, fall's coming up quick. Start preparing for your, fall gatherings with Carver's Catering. What are you doing? My family started with Carver's Catering, and we haven't looked back. For Thanksgiving, Christmas, hell, even Easter sometimes, Carver's is the one that's providing the award-winning barbecue and meat to make us all happy and smile. They got sauce on the side option, so you don't have to worry about the people that think ranch dressing spicy and all that good stuff. Hey, go to carversbbq.com. That's carversbbq.com, and don't forget to tell them that you know who sent you over their way. All right, 9:16, little bit of change. Sydney Sinks joins us in the studio in just a couple of minutes. I'll stay here, catch my breath. You stay there, grab a coffee, and we'll come back with more right after this.
Oh no, another bad headache?
Yeah.
Maybe it's time to see your doctor.
OSF Healthcare can handle all of your family's primary care needs, including diagnosing health issues or referring you to a specialist. Schedule an appointment today.
For the biggest selection of pre-owned cars, trucks, and SUVs in the Riverbend, visit AltonToyota.com or stop by their location on the Homer Adams Parkway in Alton. Winner of the prestigious President's Award, Mungan Burkhardt Alton Toyota knows how to treat their customers, and they will help you find the vehicle that is perfect for you. For years, Mungan Toyota has been a fixture in the Riverbend, and now Mungan Burkhardt carries the tradition. New name, but the same great service you've come to expect.
Yo, what up? It's Mike Keith, the proud graduate of Lewis and Clark Community College. I got my start in broadcasting, and now I work all over the country. I discovered my path in media, but I could have been an electrician. Or I could have been a nurse.
Maybe not.
With over 20 years of experience, Wilson's Tree Service has the expertise to handle all of your tree care needs. Licensed and fully insured, their team of experts are dedicated to providing reliable service. Plus, with a 24-hour emergency service line, Wilson's will always be there for you. Don't risk tackling that timber by yourself. Trust the local professionals at Wilson's Tree Service. Visit treeservicealtonil.org to get started today.
You're listening to Our Daily Show with CJ Nasello on RiverBender.com.
9:18, welcome back to our daily show. Sydney Sinks will be walking down into the studio in a couple of minutes. But I saw some, so I mean, I got some time to kind of break the fourth wall, if you will. You know, and it's not really a thing because you can't. There's no reason to compete, type of thing. But I saw something that just cracked me up the other day. Someone, and someone said, you got to watch this or you got to tune in or always be on our website because we always break news. But it's amazing to me because we'll sit here and we'll break stories days ahead of time and we'll bring you the news first, and all of a sudden we get a copy and paste of a sentence. It's amazing to me how that works out. But I guess that is breaking news. Hey, one thing for you, just amazing to me. One thing for you, the Village of Godfrey has become the first and only Riverbend municipality not to replace the state's expiring 1% sales tax on groceries. Instead, Mike McCormick, the mayor, cast a tie-breaking vote to raise the village's sales tax by 0.75%. Here's what we know. An ordinance to raise the sales tax in Godfrey was originally set for a first reading on Tuesday before trustees called for a suspension of the rules, bringing it to an immediate final vote. And after significant discussion and debate, village board members voted their way into a 3-3 tie, with McCormick casting the tie-breaking vote in favor of this. Now, here's what we know. Raising the sales tax was first proposed by village engineer Rich Baran, who pitched it as an alternative to replacing the state's 1% sales tax on groceries like many other municipalities locally. His proposal aimed to ease grocery costs for residents by effectively lowering the sales tax rate on groceries from the current 1% while boosting tax revenue from visitors by raising sales tax on all other items. The ordinance will raise Godfrey's sales tax on goods and services by 0.75%. That's 0.75%. With a current sales tax rate of 6.85%, this would bring the village's new sales tax rate to around 7.6%. The staff and I have spent a lot of time trying to decide what's best for the village, and at this time we feel to do away with the grocery tax. The grocery tax hurts people in need of relief more than most because everybody has to eat, the mayor said, adding that the 70.75% sales tax increase would, quote, still keep Godfrey as one of the cheapest sales tax rates in Madison County. 100% of the proceeds from the state's 1% sales tax on groceries have gone directly to local municipalities since the year 1990. With the tax set to expire in January of 2026, many communities across Illinois have voted to replace the state tax with their own local grocery taxes to offset major annual revenue losses. Among these communities include Belleville, Edwardsville, Glen Carbon, Jerseyville, and Wood River. Trustee Lowski raised concerns about allowing the state grocery tax to expire. If the board fails to replace the grocery tax by this October, he said they may never be able to re-implement it, whereas they could implement a non-home rule status at any time. Another concern of his was that the sales tax revenue could essentially be used for anything, when the village's original intent was, quote, to get caught up on, end quote, road, stormwater, and park projects. Instead, Lowski suggested replacing the grocery tax as other municipalities have done, then preparing an estimate of road, stormwater, and park projects that the village wants completed before looking into raising the sales tax. Brand said the sales tax increase would make up for more of around an estimated $800,000 in losses annually in village revenue from allowing the state grocery tax to expire. In fact, Moran, he estimated that this 0.75% increase would generate a total of around $2.25 million, marking a net gain of what he's claiming a $1.45 million net gain after accounting for the lost grocery tax revenue in that calculation. Voting against the ordinance were Lowski, Mike Fisher, and Craig Lombardi, and voting in favor were Mayor McCormick, Karen McAtee, Sarah Woodman, and Gerard Fisher. A full recording of the July 1st Godfrey Village Board meeting is available at the RiverBender.com article. It's at the top of it, or you can go to RiverBender.com/video and click on the community tab. Sydney Sinks is right outside the studio. She's going to join us in a second. A quick break, and we'll be back after this.
Throughout all life stages, you need someone in your corner, guiding you on your health and wellness journey. At OSF Healthcare, that's your primary care provider. Your OSF primary care provider is there for every stage of life. Find a provider today at osfhealthcare.org/primary.
Since 1993, Sparks Junk Removal is always adapting to the needs of our clients. That is why we now offer weekly trash pickup for selected areas. Plus, we offer driveway-safe rubber-tired dumpster rental. Give us a call today at 618-781-1407 or visit us at sparksjunkremoval.net.
When I got in the car accident at the ER, they gave me a prescription of hydrocodone, and over time, it took more medication to mask the pain. I moved over to drug seeking and found heroin and fentanyl. I went to the Centerstone rehab facility, and it was the best decision I ever made in my life. I have my own car, I have a job, there's nothing holding me back anymore.
Attila Fest is coming to Alton Amphitheater on July 26th. Presented by D. Smith Promotions, hosted by Reason to Doubt Podcast. Don't miss your chance to see Big Boogie and Boozy Badass live on stage with special guests Dirty Mugs, Borderline, Marquise Knox, and NKG Band. For VIP and slots, call Queen at 314-967-8999. Attila Fest. Don't miss it.
You're listening to Our Daily Show with CJ Nasello on RiverBender.com.
Oh, yeah. Well, I swear that I really want to know how, baby. Well, I really want to say that I can define that love, make it go.
9:25. Sydney.
CJ.
Back in studio. It's been a while.
It's been 2 weeks.
2 weeks.
Because you were gone, and that's wonderful for you. You had a good time, and if I didn't say it already, congratulations again. You have a lot going on. It's very exciting.
You know, I do, but it's great because I'm really just kind of, I'm not really doing a lot of the activity, if that makes sense.
Oh, really?
Oh, yeah, she's been kicking ass. She's been grabbing all the boxes and moving stuff in, and I'm just kind of, because I figured if I did it, it's going to get drug back out anyway, and you know what I'm saying? Like,
I've learned that.
Have you really? I'm just here for the show,
Yeah, that's fair.
It's been really good, and
good.
It was a good time. We had a good time.
That's wonderful.
I haven't ever watched a Hallmark movie before, but you
did it over this trip?
We did it. No, yeah, we did it over. No, I just figured this would be a good idea, and her family was great with it. Oh my God, it was a great engagement. Couldn't have been better.
That's wonderful.
And her dad took great pictures. So best
I've
ever looked.
The pictures are gorgeous.
Best I've
ever looked. You guys haven't seen the photos. They're beautiful.
You should.
Yeah.
So you've been working while I've been away getting engaged, and well. How's life been treating you?
Life's been good. Life's been busy in its own way up here in Illinois, so staying busy. But that's as we always say, that means there are cool things happening in the community for us to keep up with. So that's exciting.
When you got other people breaking our news, you know you're doing something right. And once again, last weekend you found yourself out late on a Sunday night.
Yeah,
we got to work on this.
I tend to find myself out late on Sundays or weeknights and then regret it the next day, and that's okay though because I was doing something really fun. I was at the Muni.
Okay, I gotta ask you though.
Yeah,
it was hotter than a hornet.
It wasn't that bad on Sunday. It was kind of like the rain was like kind of right there.
Oh,
it's kind of
gotcha.
Like, is it gonna rain? Is it not? And so we got really lucky. It didn't rain, so it worked out. So what do you know?
So I've never been to the Muni.
What?
Yeah,
CJ.
That's one thing I haven't St. Louis. What's it
go.
like? Because all I imagine is because I've never seen it actually. I've never seen the stage.
It's great.
How big is it?
It's huge. It's like so just to put it in perspective, so they have some free seats that are available in the last couple of rows in every production. 1,500 free seats available, and that's just the last couple of rows. So the theater itself is huge.
So okay.
Yeah, let's hear it.
1,500 seats.
Yeah.
That's a lot of money.
That's a lot of seats.
That's a lot of gone money, is what I call it. I guess if they're expecting those seats never to be filled, they just give them for free.
I think I think part of their mission is to make art accessible to people.
Oh, that's cool.
And so they want to make sure that people can come see it if possible. So I've hung out in the free seats before. Bless you.
Thank you.
And it's really nice to be able to see the show that way.
Can you still hear it?
Yeah, you can hear it really well.
Oh, okay, so it's not.
I mean, it's like smaller, but
yeah.
you can still hear hear really
Get the
well and like
binoculars
enjoy
out.
it. But or you can buy tickets, and it's always full. And they have an incredible show every year. They have a great lineup, and this year especially, I'm just gonna little plug for the Muni. They have a 10 out of 10 lineup this year, so I will be going back a few times if I can swing it. So I look forward to it.
So, do they have the thing? Is that where they when they had Peter Pan, he went through the crowd and stuff? Do they do that there?
Sometimes, yeah.
Wow.
Every now and then, the first couple of rows, someone will run through the crowd for something. So that's kind of cool whenever that happens. But yeah, not this show. This show, everyone stayed on stage.
I guess it would be bad if you stuck a leg out there.
Yeah, you gotta be careful. You gotta be careful.
Knowing my luck, I'd be stretching, and all of a sudden down goes the star.
When I went to the Fray in Decatur, the lead singer of the Fray came all the way up to the lawn, ran all the way up there to
wow.
Past us in the lawn, which is wild. So, sometimes people like to get out there and enjoy it. I think if I was a performer, I'd be too nervous to do that, especially for that reason that someone's going to trip me.
Or I'd just fall. I can't walk and chew gum.
That's true, too. There's a really good possibility that I would just collapse on my face. So what are you going to do?
So what show did you see?
So I saw Come From Away. So this show, this is kind of solemn, but it is actually...
I could have looked at your picture.
Yeah, pay attention. No, but it's kind of a solemn show. It's actually a true story. It's based on 9/11. These 38 planes were grounded in Newfoundland, in this small town in Newfoundland, and they stayed there for 5 days. And it was this really small, Alton-sized town, or maybe smaller than Alton, and 7,000 new passengers came and stayed for 5 days. And so it just told the story of that and kind of that experience, and it was really good and really emotional, and it blended. There was some humor too, so it wasn't just 2 hours of intense,
Yeah.
But it was a really good show, and it helped me understand a little bit more about just that experience for people.
That's got to be a tough thing to blend too.
Yeah, no, they did a really good job, and these are Broadway level shows that they're putting on with Broadway performers, which is really cool. One cool thing, someone I went to school with at Millikan was actually in the show, which was pretty cool.
Did you get a discount?
I wish. That would have been cool. But no, so it was pretty neat, and it was a great show. And I was familiar with the show beforehand, but I had never seen it live before. And so getting to see it live and see how they did it was pretty incredible.
Oh,
is that the drill?
Yes.
Oh my goodness.
If you guys don't know, if you're hearing rattling, this is going to be what it's going to be for the next month. And I mean, everyone's got to work, but I just so frustrating. I get a headache by 11:30 because of this damn drill. And I don't know what else you can drill in this building. I mean, I truly don't. This guy has been everywhere. How many more spots are you going to go? I feel like he's just drilling the same damn hole. It's like Shawshank Redemption.
That is louder than I expected. I know you said it was loud.
No one believes me down here.
It
loud. Rings down to the vent and shakes the studio.
That's wild. Okay,
no one knows about the stresses of hosting a local talk show.
You're so right. You're so right. Well,
God, man.
It's going to be beautiful when it's
I bet it will be, yeah. It's going to be beautiful as me on Channel 11 after my meltdown. Be like Britney Spears. I'm going to walk into that Sam's Club uptown or Great Clips and just shave it all off.
Whatever it takes.
So I have never heard about this show, and what I think's cool just reading your blog is that it features real footage from local news, so that's cool.
That was incredible. Yeah, they had real 2001 news footage from this local news station, and it was incredible to see these actual people, in line for food or getting donations piled up or whatever else. And it was it added this shock of reality to it, because it's real, but to see it actually playing out on the screen was pretty incredible.
Honestly, yeah, it is. And what I think's really unique too is I think it could ignite maybe some of that community that folks did feel after the 9/11 terrorist attacks, because it really, I think time goes on and you kind of forget, and all those little kind of smaller stories about the big story like this one, where it's not a small story, but comparatively speaking to what else was going on.
Yeah, there's a million
stories,
it's
kind of really unique to see that kind of brought back out and reignited,
Yeah, it was really interesting. And I don't know about you. Well, I do know about you because we're about the same age, but I was very young when this happened. And so I don't really remember, And so it was a great experience to hear these stories and kind of get to understand a little bit more about what this really was like. And I think that's what great art can do, is kind of help you understand more about experiences and situations that you weren't a part of, but you can connect with people emotionally and kind of have that understanding about someone else's experience,
Well, and when you're looking at the crowd, what was the crowd's takeaway? Because sometimes I like just to read the crowd, and see how it's going. Could you take away okay, these it was kind of a remembrance thing? Were they kind of getting back into it for the ones that did remember? Was there a lot of head nodding, like?
Yeah, it was interesting because on the way out, you're filing out with like thousands of other people, and you can kind of
hold that many people.
It's big.
Wow,
it's great. But yeah, so you're filing out with people, and you kind of hear the conversations around you, and people are saying like, "Yeah, I was on a plane too when this happened," or "Oh yeah, I was, I remember that day," or me and my family, we kind of talked about it too, like what was going on that day in our family. It's just, I think it just reminded people of all of that, and so it just is great to see how art can connect people like that. And it was a really incredible show, and it was really cool that the Muni got to premiere it in St. Louis too.
Someone just texted me and said I can hear this in through my phone screen.
Literally. It's wild. Yeah, it's loud. He was right.
I'm not lying. Right. So I mean, I am exaggeratory, but I'm not, I'm trying to be accurate here. So they start their shows at 8:15?
Yeah, so it's kind of...
Oh, gotcha. So that way it's not in the peak of the day or in the summer.
Yeah, it's not too hot. And so, yeah, it's kind of interesting because, like, the show comes on and the sun is setting, and they're, like, also, this is cool, the stage it's all outside. So there are trees growing behind the stage that you can see behind the stage. And it just is awesome. And I will say one time I was there for Young Frankenstein a couple of years ago. Great show.
What is that one about? I've heard a lot about that.
Have you seen the movie?
No.
Oh, you would love that. But yeah, it's really good. But anyway, so I watched the musical version, Young Frankenstein, and right as they were, making the Frankenstein, there was lightning overhead, and it was like just awesome and thematic and very cool. So not to get into it, but I love theater and stuff like that.
No,
so
I think it's awesome.
I was really into it.
Well, I think I would too if I was more willing to go do those, because it's just finding the time, and then like you're saying, you're going on. Do they have Saturday shows? I'm guessing.
Yeah,
I'm learning about the Muni for the first time.
Yeah, I got you. They have shows all week, but yeah, it's I have a show later this summer. I'm going to see Dear Evan Hansen on a Saturday, so I look forward to that, being able to sleep in the next morning. But yeah, it is hard on a weeknight to kind of make it happen. So what are you gonna do?
So what time? How long is the show?
A couple hours. This one was actually shorter than I imagined because they didn't take an intermission, so it just went all the way through. And so we got out of there around like 10:30. On a Sunday.
That's not a couple of hours. That is 2 hours and, I don't know, about 15 minutes.
Yeah, well, that's by the time you get out of, like, the traffic.
Oh, okay, gotcha.
Too. So, but that being said, usually it's a longer show and they do take an intermission. So usually you get out of there about, like, 11 or so, and then you got to drive from St. Louis to home. So it's kind of a late night, and it's like, and usually you're, like, sweaty, so you got to take a shower because you've been outside, So it's kind of a late night, but it's worth it to be able to see some regional theater.
I completely agree, and honestly, it's really cool to know like Broadway stars are coming down, and
isn't that neat?
And I'm sure it's a great experience for them to do something that's not necessarily in that traditional theater setting too, in an outdoor theater. That's really cool.
I think that's the coolest thing, to go through and see these people that are on Broadway stages doing the shows.
Yeah,
it's really amazing. So yeah.
So with that being said, you probably got home around 11 o'clock.
Yeah.
And then you have to get back to the grindstone in the morning.
Yep.
What is your routine after a night out? Because, okay, as you know, I have not gone out as like I used to in months, and I thought I could stay up a little bit later last night. I thought, oh God, I got this.
Good
and
for you.
I'm telling you, I woke up today and I felt like, I don't even know how I used to do it. Yeah. Like, to be honest with you, what's your routine here? Because I had a GBH from Germania today, free plug to them. They don't pay us, but I just thought, that'll help.
Those are good though.
Didn't help. No, I think I'm going to need a shot of adrenaline or something to get me through this day.
No, I will be honest with you. I rely completely on caffeine. Shout out to caffeine. Love me some coffee. So the next morning, I've been making my own coffee at home, so be proud of me. I've been saving some money. Thank you.
Wait, hold on here, because I heard part of this conversation. It ain't coffee. Sure. It's like, what is this?
Okay. So
yeah, you're bougie over there.
Yeah, it is bougie. So I recently got a Nespresso machine.
Yeah, there you go.
Which is very fun for me. It is, so it makes an espresso shot, and you put in the syrup, and you put in the milk and the ice, and so you make yourself I'm making a little mocha basically every morning. So it's very fancy. But okay, Mr. GBH, that's not exactly black coffee.
I had to refinance my house for that GBH.
Yeah, literally. It's not exactly. You're not better than me, but yeah.
No, did you get the Drew Barrymore?
No, excuse me?
The Drew Barrymore Slim Espresso Maker. I'm looking up how much these things cost.
Yeah, no, this was actually a gift, so
so you don't have to
save some money. But
good for you.
That being said, you have to buy the pods, and so that's like not cheap, so it kind of adds up, but it's cheaper than going to, one of the local stores, which I should say, I love the local stores.
Yeah, you better get that out.
Let me just clarify.
You better get that
love
out.
going there, love getting a treat every now and then. It's a good time, but it just...
Germania is affordable. I just made a joke. I'm glad you called out that. I brought that up. I probably shouldn't joke like that on this show.
Sorry. Let's just
I'm going to get someone
clarify.
outside Riverbender with friggin' signs here soon.
Let me just clarify. Yeah, I love going to these stores, and trust me, I've spent my share of money at these stores too, but I love checking them out and doing what I can.
So my question is, I had one espresso in my life, okay? And now I think I did it wrong because I thought that I was a caffeine fiend and I needed more than one shot of espresso.
Oh, no.
I felt like I was going to die.
Yeah, so here's the thing. So speaking of Germania, they have, little plug for Germania, they have double shots on Monday.
We'll bill them later.
For free. And so,
what?
Yeah, if you go, they'll say, do you want your double shot for Monday? And I always said, yes, I do. And then the whole day, I would be nauseous by lunchtime. I would just be shaking the entire time. But that being said, yeah, the espresso shots, they get the job done. They caffeinate you for sure.
And it's a little bit different because, I'm not drinking as many energy drinks as I used to be, which is good. But like the C4s, I had one to get me back because I drove, the long way from Alabama back home. And I'm telling you what, I was sicker than a dog.
Yeah.
Those things aren't anything to mess around with. And it reminded me seriously my espresso day because I honestly thought I was going crazy.
No, those low key, too much caffeine can definitely, we talk about this at lunch sometimes, all of us, but too much caffeine can make you sick. So it is kind of nerve wracking. You got to be careful. That being said, I do rely on it to get up and going in the morning. And especially after a day like that, I was like, all right, let's get the caffeine flowing. I'm ready. Let's go.
Yeah, 100%. So with that being said, you had fun at the show.
I did.
And did you go with friends, by yourself?
I went with my family, which was nice.
Oh, that's really cool.
Yeah, it was my mom's birthday present to go. So
nice.
That was fun. Yeah.
Did you get that present for her?
I did not. I actually got her tickets to go see Dear Evan Hansen later in the summer. So
wow.
we're gonna go twice. So
Munying it up for mom.
Yeah, absolutely.
Muni for mom. That's
Muni
the shirt.
For mom. Yeah,
that's the shirt.
They should advertise like that. Yeah.
I'm telling you, I'd be a great marketing person.
Yeah,
for
you should.
Some big company with a lot of money. I just want to throw that out.
You got this.
But honestly, with that being said, too, has the Muni always been something that you fell in love with, or is that something you found later?
No, that's interesting you ask. It's very fun. Growing up, my mom really likes these shows and stuff, so my dad every now and then would get her for their anniversary or whatever, a season pass to go.
Mm-hmm.
And that was cool because they would go and enjoy it, but sometimes if one of them was working late or one of them had obligations with a friend or something like that, I got to go instead. And that was really fun to be able to grow up going every now and then and checking out these shows. And so, yeah, ever since I was younger, but especially when I was in high school, I got really into musical theater and stuff like that. And I was doing all the plays in school and, singing the songs in choir and that kind of thing. I was a total theater nerd. I will own it. I was not
That's cool, though. No, that's cool. It's better than you could be doing a lot worse than theater.
That's true, yeah.
And honestly, I think it's kind of cool because all the theater kids, it was that was a big crew at Alton High.
Yeah, it's a big connection for sure. You get close just because you're doing stuff all the time. So it's very fun. But yeah, it was a good time.
Now, what's your favorite Muni show ever?
Favorite Muni show ever? That's hard. They did Rent, I think, a couple years ago, which was pretty incredible. Newsies was really good. Yeah, I've seen some really good ones there. I'll be honest with you. They put on some really good shows.
Huh. Good.
Yeah,
Shout out. Got a moment to take a break?
Absolutely.
All righty here. I got to pay a bill, but you know what? Curiosity did kill the cat, and she was, in fact, a good reporter. So that's good. We're going to talk about that one next, because I'm pretty fascinated about this one that we missed. Hey, it's 9:42. We'll talk about, pretty much anything else when we come back from this break. Oh, while I have you, drum roll for the queen of junk. Denise Sparks, those purple and yellow trash cans, mating like bunny rabbits. I like using that expression because they just pop up, pop, pop, bing, 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 all across the 618. And at Sparks Junk Removal, it's all about customer service done right. When you call Sparks Junk Removal, guess what you get, Sydney? the queen of junk herself and the office. They don't say, well, we're going to put you on hold and we're going to give you a number that you got to remember. I hope you have a PIN because we can't just text it to your phone and we'll call you back in 3 days. And the 3 days come and they never happen. You know, listen, I'm not talking crap on the big guys. I'm just saying Denise Sparks brings back that small town business feel and she's doing it right. For 30 plus years, she's been the queen of junk. And for the next 30, she's the queen of junk and trash. You know, listen, that Bowflex that you tried once after Christmas, gotta go. That was 30 years ago. That hot tub that's been broken down because you wanted to make that backyard utopia and realized how much work that was since the first Clinton administration, gotta go. You know, the neighbors are getting ready to report you to the city, and the Queen of Junk can help you with all of that stuff. All you have to do is call 618-781-1407. That's 618-781-1407 for the junk removal services, or just go to sparksjunkremoval.net for their weekly trash pickup. See if you qualify, if you're in your service area. And when you get the Queen of Junk, don't forget to tell her that you know who sent you over their way. A quick break. We'll come back with more Blog Talk next.
And not ashamed to cry. Ooh, baby, here I am, signed, sealed, delivered, I'm yours. Here I am, baby. Oh, you got me feeling shit in your
Atilla is coming to Alton Amphitheater on July 26th. Presented by D. Smith Promotions, hosted by Reason to Doubt Podcast. Don't miss your chance to see Big Boogie and Boozy Badass live on stage with special guests Dirty Muggs, Borderline, Marquise Knox, and NKG Band. For VIP and slots, call Queen at 314-967-8999. Attila Fest. Don't miss it.
Since 1993, Sparks Junk Removal is always adapting to the needs of our clients. That is why we now offer weekly trash pickup for selected areas. Plus, we offer driveway-safe rubber-tired dumpster rental. Give us a call today at 618-781-1407 or visit us at sparksjunkremoval.net.
When I got in the car accident at the ER, they gave me a prescription of hydrocodone, and over time, it took more medication to mask the pain. I moved over to drug seeking and found heroin and fentanyl. I went to the Centerstone rehab facility, and it was the best decision I ever made in my life. I have my own car, I have a job, there's nothing holding me back anymore.
You're listening to Our Daily Show with CJ Nasello on RiverBender.com.
Oh, and I don't drink whiskey. I don't know how it feels to hurt. Oh, and I ain't been lonely since you said goodbye. Wish I could say I miss you. Oh, but you know I never lie.
Welcome back. I wish you guys could hear my conversations off the air. I feel like that would be the better show.
That would be interesting.
No, it wouldn't be on the air very long, but it'd be a damn good show. With that being said, I really liked this one that you wrote when I was gone. I always like that you write the good ones when I'm gone.
Only for you.
No, you wrote a little bit about just kind of how you make your interactions with the people you write about or
Yeah.
the people that want you to write about something.
Yeah, it's kind of interesting, and at least to me, it's interesting.
I think so. Yeah.
It's so in conclusion, I'm a very nosy person. So I think you kind of have
She
to
has
be.
a cup and she puts it up to the wall in the office so she can hear Mike and I's conversation.
Exactly. I'm like, let me in. No, but I think that just is one of the requirements of being a reporter or doing what you do is you just have to be a little curious. So I like to find out more. So pretty much once a day, at least once a day, I will say some variation of like, hi, this is Sydney with RiverBender.com, and then that usually starts a conversation and people will want to know more and I want to know more about them. And so we have a great conversation where I just ask a lot of questions and I learn a lot about the people in our community, which is the coolest thing ever.
What happens when you get somebody that's like just a genuinely nervous person? You know what I'm
happens.
saying?
Yeah.
Where it's like, we don't want to give you any details on this very positive story.
That's interesting because like it definitely happens where people just are nervous about they're nervous about the recording going on because I record audio, just to get my notes and quotes, but then that kind of thing.
Notes and quotes.
That's what I always say. Get
There
my
you
notes
go.
and quotes. But and that's completely understandable. I get that it's kind of a nerve-wracking and kind of a weird situation to be interviewed. It's a little strange, but a lot of the times I think you have to be the one who sets the tone,
Yeah.
So you kind of have to be the one that's like, how you doing? What's new? And, I'm good, right? It's the sun's shining. It's a good day, something like that. And kind of just ease into it a little bit.
Yeah.
And that kind of helps. And people kind of start to calm down and tell you more.
Well, you know what? This is kind of interesting for me. And this is kind of not a bragging thing, but like with the show, like I haven't had to make that many phone calls lately. So I think I'm a little rusty. Like I really don't know how that text would go. Like I have a copy and paste thing that I send to people. Sorry, you know that now. I just, and AI sends it out and, it's kind of done. And so like when you call somebody, okay, you never met them.
Yeah.
And do you tell them like first in an email, I want to interview you, or do you just drop a line?
It depends. If I have a phone number, I'm just making a call because
Wow.
it's just as easier. If I have an email address, then sometimes I'll shoot them an email and just introduce myself. But a lot of the times, if I can get a phone number first, then that's my first move, just because it like amps up the response time a lot, So I'll just give them a call and I usually start off and say, hi, my name's Sydney. I'm a reporter with Riverbender. How you doing? And they're like,
What did I do?
I'm fine. How are you? and then I'll
That's cool.
I'll finish with that and say, I got your number from so and so, or I'm calling because I saw that you did XYZ or you're involved with XYZ, and I think that's really cool and I'd love to hear more about it. So a lot of times I love talking to passionate people, and a lot of people in our community are really passionate about what they do. So it's a great opportunity to just hear more about folks's interests and passions and the things that they care about. So it's great.
Well, and now you've been here 2 years now,
2
haven't
years.
you? And honestly, what I think is cool is that people have really come to know you as a reporter. I mean, that you aren't just kind of around and taking notes, like you're actively working.
Yeah, for sure.
That's really cool. And
Staying
now,
busy.
so I like this. My friends cast me exhausted looks when, halfway through a story, I interrupt again to clarify. I do that all the time.
Yeah.
See, I feel like if you're going to tell a story, you better tell it the right way.
I want the details.
Yeah, sorry, we didn't come here for Cliff Notes. You know what I'm saying?
Exactly. Tell me who this is, what they do, how you know them. Do I know them? Tell me more. So yeah, my friends, my nosiness in real life is maybe not as appreciated, but it's okay. They're getting patient with me, so I appreciate all my loved ones for being patient with me.
I do that to my family too. Like it could be a story about going to the damn park, and I'm like, okay, well, what color was the car you were driving?
Tell me more. I want to know more. So it's kind of interesting. But one of the other great things I've learned through doing this job is just how to listen a little bit more.
Yeah.
I think most of the time when we're talking to people, we are kind of thinking in the background, like, okay, what am I going to say next? And that was one of the things that my journalism professor, Dr. Scott Lambert, at Millikan University, shout out.
Dr. Lambert.
If he would listen to this for some reason, just shout
Throw him
out.
down.
I'll let him know. But no, he taught me that early on, was just just listen.
Yeah.
Just shut up and listen to somebody and you'll find out a lot more.
Well, I still have the best quote ever. Those
let's
who don't
hear it.
listen have bias.
Yeah, that's
Just
a good
always
point.
saying that.
That's a good point. I like that a lot. You should listen. That's how you learn more.
I just want
about
that on my
people.
statue outside the building.
I'll let John know.
But, I don't know. I just think it's really cool that you wrote about this, because sometimes I truly think people don't realize that, here at Riverbender, like, we're actively doing work. We aren't waiting for a voicemail, and we aren't just putting the voicemail online and with a note. I mean, you're actively gathering notes. You're actively putting the story together. And I think that's so different. And honestly, there's a new reporter here in the area that I think is doing a very good job of that too. Yeah. And now I don't agree with a lot of the stories and why we're writing them, but I do think does a great job reporting them.
Yeah, shout out.
So it's one of those things where I think some people, you know, like, they'll go, oh, well, I'm going to read this and it has 2 sentences in it. And really what it is a lot of times it's hard work that's being done by another reporter initially, and it's being kind of transcribed in a voicemail. And I don't think that's good for the audience to know. It's good to know what actual reporting looks like and how long it takes to get a story done sometimes.
Yeah, it's interesting how, you know, a lot of the times I start with a phone call or I organize an interview to meet somebody, and it's so cool because you just get to talk to somebody. And my interviews range from anywhere from like 10 minutes to like sometimes
you've been on the phone forever,
for like 30 minutes or longer, and it's great just because you get to know people. And I don't want to cut anybody off because it's like, no, tell me more. I want to know these details. I want you to round out the story for me. And some of those details end up in the story, and some of them don't. But it gives me a better understanding of who this person is. And I mean, what a value that is to get to know somebody in this day and age. You know?
Right. Well, and honestly, it goes back to like when I put best ofs together. That's why I never touched the first year, because even though I've been doing it for quite some time, you know, doing it by yourself is a lot harder than doing it with somebody when you co-host, because you're, as a coach, you learn to kind of shut up and all that. Because like when I was with Ray, you know, I maybe spoke a couple of minutes, and then, you know, if I had one question, I'd throw it in. But you don't realize how awful it sounds to cut somebody off on the air, and you're like, dude, what were you doing? They had a great story they were telling. You know what I'm saying?
We've all been there,
now, do you go back on your stories when you first started writing for us and go, God, what was I doing here?
There are a few stories where I'm like, ooh, I didn't know what I was asking. I didn't know enough about the community yet. And now I know a lot more about the community and just some of the relationships and the businesses and just all kinds of things.
Someone responded, sent me a text, they said LOFNL. That's funny as heck. Thank you. I appreciate that today.
Staying out of that one. But no, there are definitely times. And then there are also times that, like, one of my favorite stories that I wrote here, I wrote within the first 2 months of being here, and it still is one of my favorites.
Mm-hmm.
So
what'd you write?
It was what a homeless man's loved ones want you to know about his death. Yeah.
That was a really good story.
Thanks. I appreciate that.
It really was.
That was really emotional and interesting, and I think the reason that story works so well is because I shut up, you know, and I just listen to these people talk.
Well, I think sometimes people get nervous, like, just like it's in shows, it's like, don't talk about like abortion, gun control, or politics and all. And I don't really necessarily agree with that. It's just about letting them, you know, talk without being confrontational, so you can still share their story in a way that's not, you know, convoluted for the audience, and also derogatory to the audience too. There's two kind of lines you walk. But in reporting, like when you're writing about sensitive things like that, where it's someone's loved one, or you know, someone's, you know, benefit, or a GoFundMe. I mean, there's a lot that you have to do to not only humanize it, but humanize it in a way where it's not patronizing to that individual or their family too. I'm only guessing.
Yeah, it's interesting. I was talking to someone about this the other day, but you know, it's interesting. I end up on the phone sometimes with families of someone who has passed away or something like that, and those stories are so. It's how to put this. It matters so much to make sure that you do it right, and that you ask the right questions, and that you're sensitive about it. And so those are hard phone calls to make, but really it just is being quiet and listening to somebody talk about their loved one, and then going forward and writing about it in a way where you honor this person, you know?
Yeah.
So it's very interesting. It's an interesting job. I had done that a couple times before I came here, but now that I've been here, I've done a few stories like that, like almost like obituaries of people. And it just is like, it's very intense sometimes, but it's hard to not feel it too.
Well, exactly, because it's not, you know, you might not know the person or know the family, but by the end of it, you connect with them in a way where it means a lot to you, just like it means a lot to them. So there's totally pressure with that.
Yeah, it's really interesting, but again, it all comes down to just getting to know somebody, and in this day and age where we're all on screens or disconnected or that kind of thing, which, like, me too, I also spend my time on my Instagram or whatever, but you know, it really means something to get to know people.
Did I ever tell you, the best thing I ever did was just having Facebook and Snapchat. That's all I have. You know, and YouTube Shorts. I can sit there forever, you know, but anyway, it's just really cool when you wrote about that, just to hear a little bit more about how you write and just a little bit of how, being the best writer is actually being the best listener too.
Thanks. It's all about listening.
So I got to complain about Mississippi because no one was in here to hear my rant.
Let's hear it.
And I'm going to tell you this. I think that Mississippi is the worst state in the union.
That's a hot take. Let's hear it.
I just don't care anymore.
Yeah.
We went on this trail, and I'm glad you're here now that I can tell you.
Yeah,
but,
I'm happy to be a sounding board.
So we go down and we get into the rental car, which by the way was an electric Jeep, a hybrid. I thought
fun.
I didn't like the car at first because I was supposed to get a little Altima and we were going to be fine. I'm like, how much gas is this going to cost me? Another Joe Exotic moment of I'm never going to financially recover.
We've all been there.
Turns out it gets great gas. It was a great car, but Google Maps said you want to save an hour and 4 minutes on your drive. Or Apple Map. Don't ever click that button. Don't ever click that button. It will equal out to be in the same time.
Really?
So anyway, we get finally into Mississippi. There is not a good part of this road, number one. People don't know how to drive, number two. We stopped by a Taco Bell, okay? And I was met with a, what do you want? Okay, like number one, I didn't force you to work there. Okay, I didn't say you have to work at Taco Bell today to take my order. So I'm like, can we have a second? Well, and she didn't say anything. So I'm like, okay, I'll just wait, and finally got the order. Not even a thank you, not even the price of the bill. She just said, mm-hmm. I'm like, okay, well, this is not what I was expecting here. I don't know what I did to offend this person. Then they just threw the food at me. It's like, who the hell are you? Well, then we're driving, we get down there. It was great. And this Airbnb that we stayed at was wonderful. It was in awesome. A nice part of the town and everything that we were at. And then I go to get gas. You should have seen it. It was like it was interesting to say the least about what was going on down there. So anyway, get out of Mississippi. Mm-hmm. We get to Alabama, have the best trip ever. Except I went parasailing, and I'm scared of heights.
Did you really?
Yeah,
that sounds awesome.
Well, it's a year of yes. I was telling people that you rubbed off on me, and so I thought, okay, I'm going to do this and not tell everybody about my drastic fear of heights. Uh-huh. And so Jackie's having the time of her life swinging on this parasail, throwing her arms in the air. And this is me because I'm just not feeling it. Like, I feel like this buckle's going to go at any time and I'm plummeting to earth. And
I get that.
Like, this is probably how I go. But, it was really at the time when you're coming down from that thing, best time of my life because number one, I knew I was going back to safety, so I this is where I can have fun. This is where I can have fun now. But no, I'm going to do it one more time, I think, because 2 is true. If 2 is true, I think that's what you got to start doing.
Yeah, that's very fair.
We had a great trip, and her family set up this great engagement. Everything looked great and went great. Had no idea, and then got the ring and all that stuff, and now we're planning for this wedding. But the reality is, we got to leave. So the last day before, I'm thinking I got to drive back through Mississippi, and it's already on my mind. So you have a perfect engagement, you have a perfect vacation with great people around. Oh, I got my haircut on vacation.
That's great.
Did I tell you about this?
Yeah, you said that. That's
no,
wonderful.
I'm going to tell the audience. So I said, I tried to book, and I'm not saying it could be my fault because I'm not the best when it comes to that stuff. So I just never heard back. I sent a Facebook message, didn't hear back. So I'm like, okay, no problem.
Yeah,
just going to have a little bit longer hair. Well, her uncle cuts hair,
yeah.
took care of me, and then some.
I
was in a kitchen with a hefty bag around me, looked great, felt great, and then everything was perfect.
You were ready for this engagement.
I was ready for the engagement.
The photos turned out so nice.
They did, and honestly, she believed they were family photos, and she was like, "Why are everyone coming to watch us take family photos?" And I'm like, "Well, you'll find out in a second." But the time comes we have to leave after everything's perfect.
Yeah.
It's a great trip, everything's fun, everyone has a good time, and then I've got to drive through Mississippi. Yeah. Oh, that's my rough. God. I'm telling you, Sydney, I was seeing stray dogs walking around at gas stations. I saw literally everything you could see in life in Mississippi.
That's saying something.
I'm telling you, if it's coming from me, it is saying something because I'm a traveler. And anyway, we go and we're almost 6 hours into what I feel like is Mississippi. And I'm like, surely this is the end of this state.
Yes.
Never zoom out of the map when you're driving through Mississippi because you realize, oh my God, I got another hour and a half of this.
That's rough.
Rough is an understatement.
That's rough.
Okay.
Oh, yeah.
No, I'm telling you. And we had people just don't know how to drive. The left lane is not for you to sit comfortable in.
No,
okay.
That
I just want to throw that out there.
You're so right.
It's so frustrating. And then they look at you like you're the jerk. It's like, listen, I might be going 80, but the speed limit's 75. Get out of the damn way.
Absolutely true.
Oh, my God.
I'm with you on this.
Anyway, it gets even worse, okay? Because this drive through Mississippi gets worse. Because, we have to take one. I thought we were done with the stops. So, good.
Yeah.
Pasture in front of us here. We're ready to get the hell out of this place. No, we had to make one more stop, okay? Just because, why not? Just for the sake of going to a Mississippi gas station. And I'm going to tell you this. There was a gentleman that was working on cars that I really did not see an auto body shop near, and I don't think there was anybody dropping off cars. I don't know what that guy... I wanted to talk to him just because I'm like, is this how you're starting your business?
Yeah.
Well, while I was getting ready to do that... More stray dogs.
More stray dogs.
Is interesting. They got a stray dog problem down there, and they weren't mean. Like, they were like just part of the community.
Well,
okay?
That's sweet.
And here's the thing, though. I'm driving, and all of a sudden, there's a sign. And it's about bringing broadband to the community. Broadband, not fiber. We're talking just regular run-of-the-mill internet.
Things are rough down there.
I'm not saying I'm probably going to get never allowed back into the state after this.
Bar you.
But I just it was just wild to me. And it was like nobody was nice. Everyone was hateful. And I'm like, I'm just here to get gas.
They heard your northern accent. They said, get out of Mississippi. So,
Yuppie.
Exactly, yeah.
But no, I mean, so if you ever have to, I would divert Mississippi. I'd find a way. I would honestly take an extra day trip just to not
That's saying something.
swear. But, honestly, it was the time of my life, to be quite honest with you.
To pull it all back.
It was seriously the best trip I've been on.
It's terrible, that drive
in
back
a long
home.
time.
Yeah.
Well, it reminded me of because my family and I are getting older, so our last trip was to London and Rome and all that. It was,
that sounds awesome.
It was honestly the trip of a lifetime. But it was good to have that kind of feeling of just relaxing again, doing some fun stuff. And, honestly, it was cool just to hit play on the computer at the beach and go, all right, I'm on the air.
Done working. Yep, just
did
chilling.
it today.
That's awesome. Yeah.
But yeah, so anyway, I just wanted to rant about Mississippi one more time more than anything. But honestly, though, just cool. It was cool. And then, did you see some of those comments on that damn article? I mean, how hateful. So, most of them were positive. But I got to just say, when you get somebody that's like, why do I care? And I'm like, I'm curious. So I click on your profile, and all you're doing is posting pictures of your cats. I understand where you're coming from. But then the one guy gave me 5 to 10 years. I'm like, come on, man.
What a mean thing to say. I just don't get it. I'm going to call out our community really quick. Everyone needs to be nicer on the Facebook comments. The comments are wild.
I just thought it was funny more than anything. I'm like, Jesus, what did I do to make this guy mad?
Literally, yeah. No, it's kind of wild. But, to each their own. If that's all they have to be mad about, if that's the biggest issue in their life, then, I envy them. So
I do, too. But I had to tell you more about just this Mississippi driving.
Well, I'm glad you had a great trip. I'm glad you're back. I'm so sorry. But, hey, you can cross Mississippi off your map and say
it was already crossed off.
Yeah, you
That's the problem.
You can say you experienced it now. You didn't just drive through.
We experienced
Mississippi.
it. But you know what was kind of deflating about it? Because the Airbnb we stayed at in Mississippi was really nice.
Really?
It wasn't bad at all. It was really cool in a nice spot. And then when you actually go through Mississippi, you're like, whoa, here. What's going on?
So did you stay in Mississippi or Alabama?
Well, stayed one night in Mississippi and then kind of cut the drive in half.
So you experienced Mississippi.
Yeah, and this was cool. Yeah, it was really cool. It was a nice Airbnb, and then got up and went, Alabama, we had the Buc-ee's experience, and I've been to Buc-ee's before.
Love Buc-ee's.
But this was the busiest Buc-ee's I've ever seen.
Buc-ee's is always thriving.
I'm telling you though, this was crazy. It was insane, stopping traffic on the highway.
That is wild.
Nuts. Anyway, it was a great time, and I just wanted to tell you about it.
Thank you for sharing.
Anyway, I like your blogs this week. They were good.
Appreciate that. Likewise, I enjoy what you're doing as well. So look forward to seeing it all come together.
Well, and then you got to write about Centerstone here in a little bit.
I know. I'm excited. I love writing about Centerstone.
Be talking about their outpatient counseling services, which is actually good because I feel like a lot of people utilize that or maybe want to and want to learn more about it. So it's really cool.
Yeah.
But yeah, anyway. Oh, did you see the security tag on my shirt?
No, I actually didn't see this, so I
got one more minute.
Yeah.
So we go and get the shirt because I had her pick out the clothes because I don't want it's might as well. I have no taste in clothing as you can see.
That.
I'm wearing kind of
as I can obviously see. Yes, you have no taste in clothing.
No, I get it. I look like I'm playing golf today, but I just I had her. The store forgot to take the security tag off.
That's unfortunate.
So I thought, how funny would it be? I kept trying to convince her, at the end, to rip the pin and just go ahead and get the die pack going just to see what would happen and get it captured.
Yeah.
Be like, there we go. He stole the shirt. That's the joke.
There we go.
Wasn't having it, but we took it back and they felt bad. And then me, I have to make sure people know my sorrow. So I'm like, I just want to let you know. I was getting engagement photos in this shirt that you left the security tag on, and didn't mess it up, but could have looked better without the tag. And all they told me was sorry. I was hoping for some free shirts or something.
Nice. But you guilted, man.
I do.
Guilt.
Oh, I do. I'm good at that. Anyway, Sydney, I know you got a busy day. It's great talking to you.
No, very
and
fun.
Catching up.
Good times.
I think the drilling, I think they heard us or someone
they
said
heard
something.
you complain and they said, sorry.
He's in a really kind of mood today. I think we should take a lunch early.
Sounds good to me. Yeah.
Sydney, have a good rest of your day, and we'll
Same
talk
to you.
again soon.
Appreciate it.
What's 10:06? Centerstone's going to join us in a couple of minutes. You stay there, and we'll stay here on RiverBender.com and Roku TV.
Attila Fest is coming to Alton Amphitheater on July 26th. Presented by D. Smith Promotions, hosted by Reason to Doubt Podcast. Don't miss your chance to see Big Boogie and Boozy Badass live on stage with special guests Dirty Muggs, Borderline, Marquise Knox, and NKG Band. For VIP and slots, call Queen at 314-967-8999. Attila Fest. Don't miss it.
Village Dispensary has the best deals in Godfrey, Illinois with specials 5 days a week. Mondays, roll in the week with 20 to 30% off select pre-rolls. Tasty Tuesdays, enjoy 20 to 30% off select edibles. Waxy Wednesdays, enjoy 20 to 30% off select concentrate and vape brands. Thirsty Thursdays, sip and save with 20 to 30% off all drinks. Flower Friday, grab like 3.5 gram flower deals starting at just $20. Village Dispensary, come meet your best buds.
When you need a project done right, on budget, and on time, trust Gillahan Concrete. Gillahan handles every kind of project, big and small. Commercial, industrial, residential, from room additions and garages to patios, driveways, and more. Gillahan brings quality and experience to every job. Family owned with over 30 years of service to our community. Call today at 618-781-3914 or visit GillahanConcrete.com.
Macias Insurance Agency, providing quality products with extremely competitive prices. As an independent provider, we source multiple companies to offer the best rates possible, covering auto, home, business, and life insurance. Our goal is to provide quality service that meets and exceeds customer expectations. You can rest easy knowing the Macias team is working round the clock to ensure that both you and the most important parts of your life are covered. Our qualified professionals make the insurance process easy so you can live carefree and focus on what matters most. Visit MaciasInsuranceAgency.com today to find out what our team can do for you.
With over 20 years of experience, Wilson's Tree Service has the expertise to handle all of your tree care needs. Licensed and fully insured, their team of experts are dedicated to providing reliable service. Plus, with a 24-hour emergency service line, Wilson's will always be there for you. Don't risk tackling that timber by yourself. Trust the local professionals at Wilson's Tree Service. Visit treeservicealtonil.org to get started today.
Looking for the best?
How does it feel to be on your own with no direction home, a complete unknown?
Welcome back. Sorry, I just had to get that state of Mississippi off my chest. All right, welcome back to our daily show, and always great to talk with our friends at Centerstone. I believe we'll be talking in just a couple of minutes. If she'll be joining us on the screen here with Brittany McGrady. She's the clinical manager over there at Centerstone. We're going to be talking outpatient counseling services, and really excited to talk about this because I'm sure this is a service that we might know somebody or be a part of this ourselves. And Brittany, thank you so much for your time today on this Wednesday morning. Excited to talk with you.
There we go. Got to unmute myself. Hi, I'm excited to be here.
Well, and Brittany, right off the bat, take me through your role as clinical manager with Centerstone and just what that day-to-day looks like for you.
Sure. So I supervise the supervisors of the therapists and counselors on our outpatient team. So I started at Centerstone as a counselor myself. And then over time, kind of grew into a leadership role. And it's a great opportunity to watch the clinicians grow. But then in the position I'm in now, I get to watch the leaders grow too, which is pretty cool.
Well, and how long has your journey been with Centerstone?
I have been there for over 11 years, believe it or not.
Wow. Well, and this is what I find fascinating is just hearing, from your perspective, how the awareness on mental health and mental health challenges, along with the services that are provided, how have you seen them kind of grow and evolve over those 11 years?
Well, when I first started, I felt like the community had a decent bit of stigma
Hmm.
about the services and our clients that we work with. And over time, I think some of that has improved. And I think now the community sees Centerstone as a great resource. I hope, anyway. Maybe I'm biased, but I think that now our services and our clients were viewed a little differently. And we also are able to provide more broad range of
Hmm.
services as we've grown and grown over years. So working with children, adults, substance use, mental health, folks with Medicaid, but also folks with commercial insurance. So, I think the more we broaden and grow, hopefully break some of those
Yeah.
barriers and stigma down.
Well, and this is why I love having these conversations with you guys. We've had them for over a year now because the more I feel like we talk about it, and I tell people all the time, I've been in the counseling office, and I've been, I've met with folks, and I've had to, go through that journey myself. And I feel like the more that we can openly talk about this and say, hey, it's okay if you're not okay, go get the help before it gets worse. I mean, it's like, I always call us a car. You got to maintain the car and maintenance it, and I wanted to ask you too, Brittany, in your role, what's it like seeing those supervisors, those counselors grow as, their tenure continues to grow with Centerstone?
Honestly, CJ, that's one of my very favorite things. Getting to see folks come in as I call them little baby therapists, but they come in really green or fresh from school, or maybe from a different type of work or organization, and then seeing them just grow in the types of services they're able to provide, their clinical skill set. Maybe someone first comes in and says, they're most comfortable working with adults. And then over time, maybe they start working with some teens or kids or expand, attend
Hmm.
some training and again, continue to expand who they are interested in working with. What's really cool is when someone can find something that they're passionate about or an area that they're really, really interested in. And then that's cool to see folks just light up and dive in. To a certain specialty. So in the past, we've had people who pursued certification with grief counseling or trauma specific, things like that, where it just sort of lights them up to talk about it. And then similar with leaders, it's really cool to have folks start with us or maybe they started on the outpatient team or
Hmm.
maybe on another team, but eventually, maybe they had interest in leadership and began that. And there's so much to learn. The way you do your job is one thing, but then also trying to lead others is it's a whole other experience. So seeing them learn how to have difficult conversations, but with compassion,
Right.
and balance the different workload as a leader that's awesome to see too.
Well, and honestly, what I think so incredible, really, about Centerstone as a whole is the pride that you all take in maintaining your counselors, the supervisors, and all staffs, mental health as well. Because I could only, I've talked with so many about this, the stressors of being in that counselor role and hearing some of these really tough stories and trying to make sense of it all and really helping that patient. I'm sure it takes a toll, on the staff. And take me through what Centerstone in your position, does to really maintain that overall mental health for them.
Yes, compassion fatigue is a very real thing. So is vicarious trauma. And so when we're sitting with folks who are experiencing some of the most difficult times of their lives, um, we're people, we're
Yeah.
human. So some of that can take a toll. And just the workload itself can be a lot to juggle. So there's a few things that Centerstone does. And then our team specifically also, the leaders on my team are very passionate about this. And so Centerstone itself tries to provide some different things. So some opportunities for training so that you can enhance those skill sets. So you're prepared and equipped to handle the things that you're working with folks on.
That's really
But we
cool.
also have a well-being platform. It's called well, I don't remember what it's called right now. It used to be called Navigate Wellbeing, but it has various challenges like stay hydrated challenge or enter your steps.
That's cool.
There's also opportunities to talk with financial advisors. So things like this where it's looking at not just self-care through this little bitty lens of, oh, let's throw a pizza party every now and then. But no, how are you taking care of your financial health and investing in your future? What are your career goals? How can we help you develop as a person? And then our team specifically, the leaders have developed some different things like coupons for folks. Submit this coupon and your supervisor will do 2 closures for you.
Wow.
Or head out of the office a couple hours early this week at some point. Or one of my favorite, a couple of folks pooled theirs together and had all of us on the leadership team do a rap battle.
Oh.
Because it was funny and uplifting, and it gave little things like that. I think change the work environment.
Well, and honestly, just hearing that though, it really, I understand a little bit more of just why, because everyone I talk to just loves Centerstone and they love the mission behind it. And I think that's so important for how big your guys' organization is, number one, but also all the different spokes on the Centerstone wheel that we've been learning about. You have to have all that love and compassion and passion, for this career and in order to be successful.
Right. And, that passion is a great place to start. And I think, when folks come in the door, they're excited, they're energized. And over time, if you're not taking care of yourself or doing things to take care of yourself, that even though the work is so meaningful and we love it, it can still weigh heavy over time if we're not doing those things to be proactive.
Well, and now let's dive a little bit into this outpatient counseling service that you guys provide. I know of individuals that utilize it. For the folks that are maybe still learning a little bit more about, how the operation works at Centerstone, you guys do take both private and public insurance, correct?
Yes, that's right. So Medicaid has a lot of different names, but Medicaid and then also commercial insurances, private insurances, and Medicare as well.
And now, is there an option for somebody who maybe doesn't have any of those options that still wants to seek help, or is that kind of where things get a little tricky?
Well, it could get tricky, but there are some self-pay options that our enrollment team talks with people, and they take some information from you and look at a sliding scale. So, the service cost is one thing, but then based on income and household size, things like that, that gets adjusted to a sliding scale fee. I'll also add that some folks will look at other alternatives like integrating maybe group therapy in there because the cost of that looks a little different. So all in all, I think it's about communicating what your needs are. And then sometimes we also have grants, depending on what the person's coming in for. But we have some various grants that could assist with things like that if someone meets the criteria for that.
Well, and now I'm sure that there's a gamut and a gauntlet of folks that are utilizing outpatient of all ages. Take me through when you start to see the outpatient counseling, start to take effect in somebody. Does it start younger than, 10 or what's that age range look like for you all?
Yeah, some of our programming will go as low as 4.
Wow.
Yeah, and sadly, those services are needed and utilized that young. There are a couple of, like I said, grants or specific programs that do work with ages 4. Usually on the outpatient side, we see closer to 6.
Wow.
Folks beginning at about 6. Yeah.
Well, and now how does the evolution of that counseling session, change over the couple of years? Because, I can only imagine when you're starting to work with somebody as young as 6, there's a lot different component at play than, maybe having, that same patient 6 years later, potentially. What does that look like and sound like for that first time encounter?
Yes. So after the assessment and those more boring pieces are done and they can dive into the therapy. I mean, I'll
Be
just
honest
admit
about it. That's the way to do it,
it is. It's not the most fun part, but it's necessary. After that, once we get all into the work, for folks who are on that younger side, we do have a play therapy room and an art therapy space. So there's play therapy available. And in that play therapy space, there's also a sand tray, which is a specific intervention as well. And so I think getting creative with folks who are younger, but I'll be honest, even working with teens and adults, we still venture into that art room sometimes, because that can, sometimes our words aren't, maybe we're not ready to speak something, but we can create in a way that helps us.
Can I ask you if it's okay to, whenever someone starts in with your guys' services that early, what is, and again, it could be a plethora of reasons. Is there, a majority or, 6 times out of 10, it's because of, X or because of Z? What do you see in those clients when they're coming in that young?
Yeah, that's a great question. I'm not sure if I could give a percentage to it off the top of my head, but anything ranging from trauma, experiencing abuse, trauma, neglect, or it could also be behavior difficulty going on. Maybe there's trouble going on at school or certain behavior that the family is having difficulty with at home. And in that situation, there is work with the family. So work with the parents as well to help reinforce the things that are happening in counseling. And then also we do see some early signs of anxiety and sadly depression as well in young kiddos at times.
Wow. Well, and honestly, it's fascinating to hear that and really just kind of educate myself and the public a little bit more of what you guys see, because sometimes I feel like if it's not in our home, we don't understand it and it's not kind of there. And it's really good to talk about that. And, for somebody that, maybe has never been to a counseling service before or, never has, taken part of therapy, and this is maybe new for them. Maybe everything's been great until something happens one day that kind of throws off the whole train. What's important for that person to know, before they even make that phone call with you? Is there any bit of advice you could give them?
Well, one thing that immediately comes to mind is you don't have to wait until it gets to a certain level of toughness.
Yeah.
If whatever's going on is interfering with your life and has been, persistent, or your typical ways of coping aren't helping, you don't have to muscle through it or, try to do it on your own. Come in, please, is my urging. But alongside of that, you were also asking about, things to be prepared for. We do that assessment process, and I mentioned earlier it's boring, and so I do like folks to be a bit prepared that when you walk in our door, the very first time that you meet with someone, it's not necessarily going to be therapy right away. That
Gotcha.
Very first appointment. It's also not going to be meeting with the psychiatrist or having medication that very first appointment either. And sometimes when you're in a rough spot, you really want that help as quickly as possible. And so that can be hard to adjust those expectations.
And honestly, that's great to know. And, I think something that's also been so fascinating and really informative with our segments with Centerstone has been, hearing how a lot of times, it's a little bit of both counseling and sometimes medically assisted treatment programs that are going on, and just other services that kind of go hand in hand. And, for somebody that's, when do you start to see that the real counseling start to take place? Is it, appointment 3? Do you meet with a psychologist, in a couple of weeks after, you start to get to know your counselor? What's that look like?
Yeah, that's also a great question. So the first
I don't ask very many of these.
No, you've got some good ones. The first appointment, sometimes 2, if things are either complex or if for some reason that appointment was interrupted. That first appointment or 2 is that information gathering. We're asking a lot of questions, assessing, coming up with a goal plan. And then someone then gets linked with the person they're going to be with for counseling, and begins right then. And then, as you mentioned, yes, after 3 kept appointments, then we can put in that request for the psychiatric services, which is that medication component. Now, not everyone who comes in wants or needs medication.
Right.
Sometimes counseling alone is all the person is seeking or all that's needed. But if someone is wanting or needing medication, it comes a little bit later down the line.
Well, and honestly, I think that's a really good note to make too, because maybe somebody's sitting there going, well, I don't want them to, put me on, a Prozac. You never know what it is for somebody. And to know, hey, it's your journey too. We're going to do what we can. And what I think is really fascinating too is just to learn about the evolution of that counseling session and learning about how that person and individual progresses. Do you have folks that, typically leave after, a certain set number of months, or say, hey, you know what, I'm feeling better? Or do you recommend that, hey, maybe we don't meet as frequently, but let's always catch up and see how things are looking?
Yes. So ideally, we're working with folks on the goals that are set at the beginning.
Okay.
And those could be changed. Sometimes you get into stuff and realize, oh, I thought I needed to discuss the grief of, a most recent loss, but really there's these other things going on. So that is editable and changeable. But we're working towards those goals. And as we see progress, and I mean we, meaning the client and the counselor, as we together see progress over time, there should ideally be a discussion about, okay, we've been meeting every week. Let's talk about every other, or what would it look like to practice these things for the next 2 weeks or 3 weeks and come back, or month, and begin to sort of space that out. Again, it looks a little different based on what the person is coming in for, but ideally we can sort of step down the services and begin to space things out and give folks that that trial, so to say, of like, okay, what did those last 4 weeks look like without that weekly therapy anymore?
Well, and that's what I was kind of wanting to lead into too, and you're hitting it right on the head, is do you run into individuals where, I don't know what other term to use, but maybe, after a couple of months and therapy's going really good, well, why stop this train because I'm feeling really good with therapy? Does it become overly reliant upon instead of, trying for our own? And how do you manage that without saying we're here for you, but we also want to make sure that you're growing too?
Right. If as a clinician, if you are dependent on seeing me for the rest of your life, I don't know that I'm doing my job right. Because really my goal is to give you the tools to be able to do some of these things on your own, or some of these things outside of the therapy session. Now, there are sometimes folks who have a lot of complex things going on. And so maybe the number of sessions or length of time that they're in services is longer. And then someone, like you mentioned, maybe there's not something complex, maybe there's not a heavy history, but there's one particular thing going on that's been difficult.
Right.
And maybe that's a few sessions and we resolve it. But having those discussions about what does progress look like? What if we ended services, what would you need to support you continuing this? And sometimes, I'll actually say oftentimes, that means developing more of those informal supports. So finding other outlets for you, and also finding other means of connection. Yeah.
Well, and with that too, do you ever have an experience? And I'm sure you have. Maybe you haven't. Where, and not just your counselors, where you have to bring in maybe the loved one or a partner or somebody that is that support system to maybe not say, hey, you're doing something wrong, but just to inform them on what those goals are and how to obtain those goals, or at least be there too for that individual to fall back on and say, hey, I need you a little bit today.
Yes, definitely. And that really rests on the person,
Gotcha.
the person in services. Sometimes folks will say, I'm really not interested in having anyone join me. And other times people are very vocal about saying, I would love to have my partner join a few sessions so that, some of these things can be discussed. So we can map out a plan for whenever certain things happen. We can kind of come up with some safety planning or discuss what works best. Or a parent or a friend, a neighbor, whatever that might look like. I would say especially in crisis situations when we're doing safety planning, looping in that support can be really important. But as part of outpatient therapy, it's something that is an option. A lot of times folks aren't super interested in having anyone join the session per se, but we can discuss how they can discuss how, we talk about how you talk about it with your loved one.
Well, that's really cool. And, as we're talking about outpatient, we have a couple of minutes left. It was a great conversation, and I really appreciate your time. Is this your most utilized service at Centerstone, is outpatient, or is it something that I wouldn't suspect?
Oh, gosh. That is a great question. Probably the psychiatric services may be larger than
makes
just
sense.
outpatient, because within outpatient, some of our clients participate in the psychiatric services, right? Some folks seeking therapy also have medication, but Centerstone, we also have different levels of care. So we have some care coordination, or folks might be more familiar with case management type of services, where the person may not necessarily need therapy, but they do need some help navigating getting resources in the community, or signing up for and utilizing benefits. But because of what's going on with their mental health, those are barriers for them to get this. So they need someone to help kind of walk through those things with them. Well, those folks could also be using psychiatric services and might not be an outpatient. Similar with, we have another program called Family Services, and although it's very similar to outpatient, that involves clinicians who go to the school or go to the home-based services, and they may have clients who participate in psychiatric services. So I would say psychiatric care is a bigger umbrella than a lot of our programs.
Well,
crossover too.
And before I let you go, just maybe one final question for the audience is, how long of a process does it take? Because I think sometimes, especially for some of us, maybe most of us, that going back to that first part, because this is something that I connect with. I was fine until I wasn't fine. Is you want the answer right away, like you said. You want that perfect fix. Get the Band-Aid on, and let's just kind of keep moving forward. And then you realize that's not the way you kind of have to do this. But whenever we're calling for the first time, when we're setting up that assessment, how quickly can you guys start scheduling people, and how long do you think it takes to get into that counselor's office?
Yes. So if someone has Medicaid type of insurance, we have walk-in hours.
Oh, wow.
And by walk-in, I mean also call in at this point, but eventually it will be all back in person. And so the phone number for anyone interested in services is 1-877-HOPE-123. So that's 1-877-HOPE-123. And that phone number is going to get you to our customer engagement center, and they will ask questions about insurance and all of that. But if someone has Medicaid, you could call in and be added to our walk-in list for the day, and be assessed. The hope is that day. If we don't get to folks that day, we do ask that they call in the next day. Maybe you can't that day because you work the next day.
Right.
So you call in Thursday instead. But Monday through Friday, we have those quote unquote walk-in hours for folks who have that type of insurance. For folks who have commercial insurance, we do scheduled appointments for those. And the reason being is just because commercial insurance, private insurances require very specific credentials. So we only have, a set number of those folks and a set number of those appointments. So those do have to be scheduled. And that they try to schedule within 14 days.
Okay.
Of calling. So if I called today, the 2nd, ideally my appointment would be sometime before the 16th. So sometime before the next 2 weeks. And that's the assessment part. And then, as I mentioned, completing that assessment and treatment plan. And then within a week, 10 days is our goal. Within 10 days that you have your first therapy appointment scheduled after that assessment.
That's really cool. And Brittany, it's been so great talking with you today, learning a little bit more about your role in outpatient counseling services. What's your final takeaway to the audience and the region today, just over outpatient counseling in Centerstone as a whole?
Well, I said it earlier, I'll say it again, is just if you are feeling overwhelmed by whatever is going on, maybe it's a history of things, maybe it's something currently going on, but that you don't have to navigate those things related to your mental health or substance use by yourself. Come in and we can help, kind of map out with you what that looks like and help you work towards those goals.
Absolutely. Brittany McGrady, thank you so much. Clinical manager for Centerstone. It's been a great conversation, and I hope to talk with you again soon.
Thank you so much.
It's 10:38, little bit of change. On the show once a Wednesday, we go back once a week on Wednesday. If it was once a Wednesday, that'd be pretty easy. But Lacy McDonald takes us back 100 years, and we're going to take a look back at Alton in 1925 and see what else fun we can cause in the studio. For more information on Centerstone, centerstone.org or 1-877-HOPE-123. We'll link everything in an article on RiverBender.com. Brittany, thank you so much for your time, and we'll stay right here in the studio, and you guys hopefully will be on your screen when I come back after a brief break on RiverBender.com and Roku TV.
Throughout all life stages, you need someone in your corner, guiding you on your health and wellness journey. At OSF Healthcare, that's your primary care provider. Your OSF primary care provider is there for every stage of life. Find a provider today at osfhealthcare.org/primary.
Since 1993, Sparks Junk Removal is always adapting to the needs of our clients. That is why we now offer weekly trash pickup for selected areas. Plus, we offer driveway-safe rubber-tired dumpster rental. Give us a call today at 618-781-1407 or visit us at sparksjunkremoval.net.
When I got in the car accident at the ER, they gave me a prescription of hydrocodone, and over time, it took more medication to mask the pain. I moved over to drug seeking and found heroin and fentanyl. I went to the Centerstone rehab facility, and it was the best decision I ever made in my life. I have my own car, I have a job, there's nothing holding me back anymore.
Attila Fest is coming to Alton Amphitheater on July 26th. Presented by D. Smith Promotions, hosted by Reason to Doubt Podcast. Don't miss your chance to see Big Boogie and Boozy Badass live on stage with special guests Dirty Muggs, Borderline, Marquise Knox, and NKG Band. For VIP and slots, call Queen at 314-967-8999. Attila Fest. Don't miss it.
You're listening to Our Daily Show with CJ Nasello on RiverBender.com.
It's not confidential. I've got potential. Ready, let's roll on to something new. Taking its toll, and I'm leaving without you.
Sorry, running late. Haven't talked to Lacy in a while, and that commercial break was very short. That was a short break.
I like that song, though.
I know, me too. I like the Killers. Me too. Yeah. Anyway, we're going back 100 years.
Yes.
I kind of feel weird now. I didn't hear music when I started this, so I feel like it's a taped interview.
However,
it's not.
We can't mess up.
It is 10:42, and if I said something, you would hear it right now. So 100 years ago,
Yes.
continued all throughout
Yes.
the rehab, the physical therapy. You're feeling better.
Yeah, I'm feeling really good. Yeah, and my physical therapist says in like 3 weeks I can start doing like lunges, like really do stuff.
Wow.
So I'm gonna be back.
Are you excited for that, or are you kind of like?
Normally I wouldn't be excited about someone telling me that I got to do lunges
right.
soon, but in this case I am.
That makes sense. I was gonna say, because I'm like, even for me, I'm gonna be honest. Once I start to like get, because I this is CJ. This is just me. If I get injured, I milk the injury. I'm a soccer player here. So, if I got to be catered to, it's going to be hard for me to go back to the, just for me. So I'd be like,
right.
Well, I mean, lunges kind of sound like an October thing. I don't know if that's a...
Right.
But you had a pretty significant recovery after that surgery. I mean, that was not an easy hip surgery for you.
No, it was like... It was a straightforward surgery for the surgeon to do. I had a labral repair, a hip labral repair, and also to fix a hip impingement. So they shaved the bone down so that it wouldn't get a tear again. And my orthopedic surgeon, who was wonderful, was like, it's not that big of a deal surgery. I think for him it wasn't.
Right.
But the recovery has been really intense. It's been very, it's been not uphill. Good, like progressive. Like I've gotten progressively stronger, progressively better. I've loved all my physical therapists. No complaints there. But yeah, 6 weeks in a brace. 6 weeks I couldn't drive.
Because that's a lot different than most people's hip recoveries.
Well, yeah, because like if you get a hip replacement, you're like back up.
You're moving,
doing stuff. Yeah. And so for the first week, like 3.5 weeks, I couldn't even put full weight on it. I was on crutches for almost a month.
Man.
Yeah. But yeah, like you couldn't tell now with me just walking down the street. Sometimes I can't do everything, but I'm getting back into it. So 4 to 6 months for like a full recovery where I can like go for a real bike ride and stuff. I can do like the exercise bike, but like a real bike ride.
Man.
Yeah.
What
but
about
then
that?
I'll be perfect.
There, Lacy, you are already perfect. There
thanks.
you go. Cardinal Knot Hole Gang.
Yes.
What
Cardinal
about
Knot Hole Gang.
There was a lot of gangs back in the 20s.
So one of the things that cracked me up about this is that there were so many different things it was called. So it was the Knot Hole Gang, the Knot Hole Club, the Knot Holers.
The mild ones. Oh, no, that was what I added.
So what it was is a group of boys. Girls were not included.
Mm-hmm.
but a group of boys that agreed to kind of follow these rules, and then they could go to Cardinals games for free. So I included in the article, I included the little membership card. This is from 1930, so a little bit later, but they had to like agree that they wouldn't skip school to attend a game. They wouldn't go to a game against the wishes of their parents.
The employer's part is hilarious to me. I just a generation gap, because I guess kids were working young then.
Yeah, you had to get the permission of your parents or employers. And I didn't check to see how old.
I want to know the age. Yeah, I gotta know the age of these kids. Like if it's a 9-year-old that's still in the lumberyard, hey, can I go see the Cardinals game?
And sometimes it probably was, because I've seen a lot of photos
of
like
you're right.
the glass factory employees, and they're little bitty.
They're definitely not over 18. You
Oh
know?
God, they're not over 10.
Well, like my first job was like helping with the summer camp for the city of. That's a lot different than working at the glass factory.
Yes, and overnight.
Yeah,
like a lot of the young workers, the kids, were working overnight shifts, and it was just horrific. So yeah, I guess they had to.
I would not be able to be a part of this, because Rule 3 is totally not going to happen for CJ. I will uphold the principles of clean speech, which doesn't happen even when I host a show, clean sports, and clean habits, while we stand with the rest of the gang against cigarettes and profane language on the field. So I couldn't bring out my Benson and Hedges and just light up at Busch Stadium.
Which, again, like, you see all those photos of children smoking cigarettes at baseball games from this time period, so they needed to put that in the rule.
But, can I tell you what happened at the Blues game? We went to the Blues game during the playoffs, and, I kind of got into it. I wasn't drinking because I just want to throw that out there for anybody that's making smart comments to me at their phone screen or computer screen right now, or TV screen. I was good until the fight started, and I'm like, I want to see some blood here. This is hockey. I'm ready for the slap shot, like diving on each other, take out the stick and use it as a weapon. This is for the gold here.
That's what hockey is, right?
Right. You would have thought, until the lady sitting next to me was very upset with my language. Well, then I got to tell you one better. I go to the Cardinals game in May. I was not happy. I mean, there was some bad calls some bad managerial stuff going on, because I think Ollie Marmol is the worst manager that the Cardinals could have hired. They could have hired somebody off the street and the guy would have done a better job. And now someone's going to say, well, John Mozeliak's the problem. I'm going to say you're 100% right. That guy needs to go too. 2011 was, 14 years ago, and you're past your prime. That's why I don't talk about the Cardinals anymore, because it's a roller coaster wave of emotions, and I'm in a glass box in Ron Burgundy, and I can't take it. You know what I'm saying? So anyway, I had to say that this is just absolutely bonkers that this guy is still managing the Cardinals. He is the worst thing. The usher got on me. I swear to God. I'm like, okay, you know what? That's not your job, okay? Your job is to point to the seat, Wow. And I wasn't even cursing that. I said like maybe damn or something,
Yeah.
And he said, it happens every damn time. Well, you're getting a little loud here. Okay, you know what? I thought I was outside. I don't know.
Censorship, CJ.
So I wouldn't have been a Cardinal Not Whole Gang member.
That no profane language when you're at a sports game.
Thank you. Thank you. I hope you're watching that. Thank you.
That's when I have problems with cussing.
Oh man, you should have heard me on the road. I don't drive. Like, that has been a rule of mine. If you want me to go somewhere, my house, I'll give you the address. I'll see you. Like I've always been. So I had to drive to Alabama, just because of the car and stuff. Oh, man. I'm telling you, Lacy, I could have wrote a script for the next Scorsese movie with the language I was using. I mean, it was just incredible. I was impressing myself. Like, I was actually impressing myself. And then, like, there was times where we got to make eye contact, and I'm, like, already giving you the business. Right. And then they're reading my lips, and, like, they're kind of stunned by what's coming out of it. I just... So I put on a clinic all the way down. I taught people how to use words.
I don't know if I should even say this. What I do is I just flip people off under the steering wheel so nobody actually gets mad at me. Like, so then I get to express my anger, but I don't have to actually be worried that somebody is going to retaliate.
Oh, no, see, I'm ready. I'm like, pull over, let's do this, and then I just hope they aren't big when they get out of the car. I let them get out first, but no, this is pretty good. So the Alton, the Alton High School band, yes. The Knot Holders. So who are the Knot Holders?
Okay, so the Knot Holders are the kids that have signed this like little certificate through, I think that it was through the YMCA in Alton. So in different places, there was like a different agent. So in Alton, the agent was through the YMCA. And so the boys would go to the YMCA, I guess, meet with George A. Ryder, who coordinated everything, and they would become part of the Knothole Gang. And in addition to them going to this game, the Alton High Band was going to go as well. And so they'd been scheduled to go to see the Pittsburgh Pirates on the 23rd, but that got rained out, and they ended up going on the 26th instead. And then they saw the Cardinals versus the Cubs, the Chicago Cubs. So the Alton High Band had performed for a Cardinals anniversary, I think several weeks before that. I'm going to write about they did a bunch of stuff that summer, so I'm going to write.
Well, the band has a lot of history. Like, it really does. I didn't know all of it, but I knew that they have a pretty prestigious thing going on. Yeah.
And this was at the beginning. I mean, because we talked about last year, they had just formed in 1924. So they were like,
off
hit the ground running. Yeah. So they also went to this game, and everybody, like all the students, the knot-holers, and the band got to see it for free. And so it was just like a fun community event.
What is a knothole?
Oh, you don't know what a knothole is?
I don't know what a knothole is.
Sorry, I should have started that. Okay.
I don't know what
if
this
you've got
is.
a wooden fence, and it's got the round, like, knots from the original wood.
Oh!
Because they deteriorate first.
Gotcha.
So they fall out, and then what's the circle that's left behind is the knothole.
That makes
so
sense.
Look through
I was thinking they had rope in their pockets and were walking around making like Boy Scout, holes.
Sort of knot.
Yeah.
No, it's like an old, just the
yeah,
old
no, I know
stage,
exactly.
they would have
Yeah.
the wooden fences. And
That's so cool.
Kids would look through.
That's all. Okay, so, but honestly, honestly, these kids got their hopes and dreams crushed by rain the first time around.
Crushed by rain, yes. Yeah, so they thought they
It's
were
a
going to go.
darn
And
shame.
they showed up, like, just in case, just waiting at the YMCA.
I wonder how bummed they were.
Oh my gosh.
Like, you know what I'm saying?
And what if your employer had not given you permission
Oh man, now
to
you're
go
double
on the
whammied.
next game?
Oh,
Like,
now you're mad.
only had the 23rd free. Now you have to go to the glass factory
And that was for the
26th.
next 5 years. That was your vacation. But so the June 26th game they go to, the band attends, and they did the band play?
I don't think they played at that. They had played several weeks before,
Right? Yeah.
And I think that they might have been scheduled to play at the Pittsburgh Pirates game, but it didn't say that they played at the game on the 26th. I assume because there was other stuff that had already been planned to be the entertainment. But sometimes it's difficult because not all the details are in the newspaper articles, and I hate to make assumptions about what actually happened, because so many times, like this, if I had just written about the game that they were planning to go to, and then acted like they actually went, but didn't find out that it got rescheduled and all of that, then I would have been not actually telling the right story. So if it doesn't say it explicitly, then I don't put it in there. So I don't know if they played or not.
Well, just to hear, I mean, they were called treated as guests of honor.
Yeah.
Wow, and they got met by a group of St. Louis motorcycle police.
Yeah.
I would have started running. No,
1925 motorcycle police.
So they entrance into the center of the United States. What's that?
Okay, so I looked that up because I thought that was interesting, and that is what St. Louis was called.
No kidding.
Yeah.
That's really cool.
Yeah.
Now, what I think's fascinating is, like, we could do that, at least try to coordinate pretty easy today, because I can just send out a text to a few people and say, is this possible?
Mm-hmm.
You didn't have text. You didn't have cell phone. You were mailing and picking up the landline or the rotary.
Well, yeah, and a lot of times people didn't even have telephones in their home.
So it was by mail to kind of coordinate this, right?
A lot of it, or just it was in the newspaper, and that's
gotcha.
Like, they would put an announcement in the newspaper. Like, that's how they asked for volunteers to drive. It was like,
wow,
hey,
so you just hope that they show up that day.
Yeah, a lot of times.
Oh man.
Also, mail went out twice a day.
Did it really?
So yeah, so you could like send a postcard in the morning. This is one of my favorite things. You'll see old postcards where it looks like a text. It'll be like, hey, I'm going to the store. Do you need anything? And then the person mails the postcard, and it gets there that day.
Really?
Yeah.
That's actually really cool. Yeah. Okay, I like that. Mm-hmm. The Cardinals won the game by a score of 3-2.
Yes.
Who were they playing?
They were playing the Chicago Cubs, and I looked that wasn't in the newspaper. I looked that up in like historic game information,
baseball reference.
Yeah.
And then big shout out to George Fuller for this one. Huh?
I should say, because I guess we haven't talked about maybe any of the ones that he helped me with. But when I was out, George, who's one of my employees, I said, if you want something to do that might be kind of interesting, go through and see if there are any articles that like strike your fancy that you think would be fun to write about. So this is one of the ones. One of the ones that's in the references, I can't remember which one, is one that he sent me, and I was like, yeah, this would be a good topic.
Did you hear my neck just pop there?
Yeah, I didn't realize that was your neck, but that was loud.
Yeah, okay. Well, honestly, seriously, I think it's cool that like you guys just at the library have such a cool passion and a good team. I mean, George, seriously, those are great articles. I didn't realize that, so that's really cool.
Yeah.
Huh, what's your 4th of July plans look like? We got a couple of minutes to wrap the show up.
We're going to do the Godfrey fireworks for sure.
Mm-hmm. Going to Alton's tomorrow?
I don't know. I get really anxious about parking.
See,
is it hard?
You know, this is where I shouldn't say this because I don't want 1,000 people at this building tomorrow, but I'm kind of nervous about going up to the roof, because last time, you know, it kind of was okay because, you know, there wasn't like all these tenants here. So, you know, if that's not okay, I understand, you know, but I would much rather go and hang out at, you know, Max for a few minutes and haven't been there for a while. So I need to get caught up with everybody. And then, you know, just go upstairs and kind of watch, you know, and that way we're kind of away from the downtown maze.
Yeah.
The River Road is never a bad option.
Okay.
As long as you're before the Chautauqua Bluff.
Okay.
You know what I'm talking about?
Yeah,
all that. Because you can still see them really good. We used to sit on the River Road and watch them. But, I mean, my grandma, whenever she was still younger and all that, she would be out there all damn morning. They would go to the boat, and then they would set the lawn chairs up, and God forbid anybody tried to get close to those. I mean, that was a thing. You know, like, you did not touch her spot. I don't know when we gave up on it. It was just kind of, I mean, that was something. But, you know, the police do a good job, and the amphitheater does of getting people in and out, but it is kind of it's packed in like sardines for a few minutes, and I don't really.
I'm not good with that.
Me either. No, I freak out. I don't like driving, so you already know that this ain't good for me. You know,
right?
But I don't know. I think I'm going to go tomorrow. I think I'm going to see if the building owners will let me sneak up. And if anyone tries to steal that idea, so help me. But no, I think that's what we'll do. And then, you know, it's going to be a nice relaxing. We're moving everything in and getting all that stuff done. So it's going to be just kind of a relaxing and getting some stuff done weekend, I think, for the household.
Yeah.
What are you doing? You're just going to the Godfrey fireworks? You guys going to like a family's house or?
We usually have brunch with my in-laws on Sundays, so I'm sure we'll do that. And I don't know, my normal weekend activity is hiking at the Nature Institute, and I still haven't been cleared for hiking.
Oh, gotcha.
I can do frog trail. This is a fun fact. You can do frog trail at the Nature Institute with crutches, or at least I did.
That's really good to know. You know, especially if that's something
Yeah.
that people are missing right now.
Right.
Yeah.
Like, I think one of the things, I'm a big fan of accessibility in general. I think everybody should be aware of the ways that people can get into buildings, can move around through the world. But when you yourself have been used to being able-bodied and then you're not, you really appreciate stuff like that. So yeah, when I couldn't do anything, but I could go on crutches around Frog Trail, I was just super grateful for that.
That's really cool. TNI's always a good spot.
Yeah.
Well, honestly, I'm just excited for Friday tomorrow. Friday tomorrow. And I got a question.
Okay.
Because you have kids.
Yes.
And I've never, baby cribs. How long do they take to put together?
Oh man, it kind of depends on
the builder.
Yeah.
So I mean, look at who you're talking to here.
Well, no, I meant like fabricator.
Because I'm telling you, like, I freak out over IKEA furniture. I have thrown so many things. And this is just because, like, it's always like, I always have the one item that, like, the screw they gave me was already filled in with mold. This happened. I needed one screw left for this damn thing. And they cut the screw off, like the machine. It was a defected screw that you couldn't use. And I'm like, well, now the whole damn thing doesn't work. But I took the liberty. I said, I want to put the crib together just because it would be cool to do. And now I'm kind of like, don't ask for help because you already asserted that this is something you got type of thing.
Well, I would say read the instructions really well first. And then
take a picture before, I think.
Oh, yeah. Take a picture before. I would go online and see if anyone else has put it together before and if they have any.
Oh, I'm sure they have. It's just, I don't want to do that because I'm a prideful person. A lot of ego here.
No, you gotta put that aside when it comes to building stuff.
I guess you're right. All right. We're out of time. It's 11 o'clock. Man, this kind of flew by today.
It's fun.
Glad to have you back.
Yeah,
Well, I'm glad to be back too. Yeah, it's
you're
kind of
back.
my problem.
Both of us.
We'll see you tomorrow, live at some point in time in the 9 o'clock hour. Until then, try your best to stay out of jail.
He said it